Hello everyone, welcome to this video about the BudLib library management system. So in this video, I'm going to give you a brief overview of this open source project, as well as a brief demo of the capabilities of this open source library management system. Let's get started. So why do we need BudLib? Institutions like schools, colleges, NGOs, etc. are in need to administer their library through the means of reliable management software for their libraries. Particularly for smaller independent schools, the budget might not allow purchasing a commercial license. And some of these institutions even still using paper cards in the back of books to keep track of loan history. This project aims to build an open source software system to administer a library, primarily focusing on smaller and independent schools. The source code of the project is hosted on GitHub and publicly available for maximal benefit to schools and other such institutions around the world. So you can find the link to our GitHub page in front of you right now, or you can also click it in the video description below. This project is founded by two software engineers, namely Bhavya Gupta and myself, Mike Lee, during our study in our Masters of Software Engineering program at the University of Calgary. The BudLib open source library management system started out as a project to help revamp Calgary Waldorf School's library system, which is a K-9 school within Calgary, Canada. Seeing the benefit of the deployment of BudLib in replacing the school's legacy library system, we have decided to scale this project to help other schools as well, especially those that don't have the funding to adopt commercially available solutions. So now let us look at an overview of the scope of the BudLib library management system. So first of all, our aim is to provide a very user-friendly interface for librarians to use and to administer the school. They should also have the ability to do normal librarian functions such as borrowing, checking in, checking out of books for users, as well as managing the database of the users and the books within the library itself. Of course, we also provide functionalities such as import and export of batch data uploads in a familiar format such as CSV or Excel spreadsheets, as well as what is very, very unique about this system is its flexibility in terms of deployment. So, for example, not only that you could actually deploy it as a cloud platform in terms of a website being hosted somewhere up in the cloud, you can also have it such that it will be a desktop application that is with a full support of all major desktop operating systems. So it can be deployed in Windows, it can be deployed in OS X, and it can be deployed in Linux. And lastly, we have a very, very easy to follow installation steps. Basically, we have scripts available and created within our GitHub repository in which you can actually build your own and run your own library management system easily with our solution. So what is our tech stack? Well, let's see our high-level design of the BudLib library system as shown in front of you right now. We can basically divide our platform into three components, namely our database, backend API, and our front end. For the database, we have chosen SQL. With the API, we have chosen to use Java Spring Boot, and for the front end, we have chosen React, where the desktop front end we will be using Electron to deploy it into the different operating systems. With that being said, let me show you a brief demo of what the BudLib library management system can do. I will first go over a web demo, which is the web version of a BudLib, where I'm going to show you some of the functions that this system offers. And then afterwards, I'm going to give you a brief glimpse of what the desktop version would look like. Note that it is basically the same code and the same repository, just that it is flexible enough to deploy it in both web and on desktop.
So here is the demo for the BudLib system. So as you can see, I've entered our login information, and then we would click login. Then from here, you would see our interface of the BudLib system. So I'm not going to go through all of the functionalities, but merely this is just a demo to show some of the capabilities of this system. So as you can see here, you are greeted with a main menu where you can do several uh, library management duties in this menu. So such as you could do borrow books, return of books, extend the timeline of books. You could see all the past transactions. You can actually search for books. You can actually add books, search loaners. So these are basically managing the database of the books and the loaners information, as well as you can view dashboard as well as manage if you have more than one librarian. So now, for example, if you want to borrow books for a particular person as a librarian, in which, by the way, you are logged in as a librarian or an admin here, and you can see information from here. So now, let us go back to borrowing books. So for example, if we have Mr. Daryl McBride, where the total outstanding books is 0, so in here, we would actually want to borrow some books. And let me max out some of the text here. So let's say if I want to borrow a book which is Education Towards Future, I'll add it to my cart. And then I can actually complete transaction here. So note that I also have the ability to search for books and all of that. So for example, you can actually then search for any title that has the word the. But anyways, let us just complete the transaction for borrowing this one book. So in here it says transaction completed successfully. So now instead of one book, you can now see that it has borrowed the Education Towards Freedom with one copy, and you got a history of the transactions here, in which today's date is being recorded in the history for this particular loaner. And then, so let's just do a return of book for this particular Mr. Daryl McBride for this particular book. So if we actually select this particular person and we want to add this particular, so note this particular list contains the list of books that have been borrowed out by this particular person. So in this case, he only borrowed one book, which is Education Towards Freedom. So in this case, we'll just add this to the cart and then click Complete Transaction. In this case, your transaction completed successfully. You go back to the loaner details and here you go. There are no outstanding loans found. So basically that covers the borrow books and the return of books. So provide extension is basically just you got here where you add a book and then you just set a new due date and it would basically sets the different extension due date for this particular user. Now, as you can see before, um, you can see all of the past transactions that we have, as well as doing the different things about managing the book database. So as you can see here, you actually can view, edit, add all of these books, search for books, etc. So, for example, Education Towards Freedom, you can actually view all of the details of these books with these particular fields. As you can see, And then you could also add a particular book. So one thing that we have with this particular one is that you could pre-fill using an ISBN, and that actually includes the book cover as well. So if you want to try that functionality, you can actually download this copy, run the back end, run the front end, and then try a pre-fill using a known ISBN, and it will pre-fill some details for you. And then you could do the same similar thing. Well, not pre-fill the details for loaners, but you can do the all of the CRUD functionalities with loaners as well. And these are basically the users within the library, such as if you're in a school library, then these will be students. And if you're in another library, these are just normal users. And these fields can be changed. This is an open source platform. So now lastly, I wanted to talk about is the the dashboard. So in the dashboard, what you can do is you can do several things. So as you can see here, you got a list of information that you have where you got total type number of books and the number of users. And then you could also see like overdue loans. So here you could say, oh, uh, uh, now it's May. So everything that's before May 14th, it'll be shown here. And these people are having books that are overdue. So you may contact them individually or all of that. Now, you can also do several things here also. You can do export all books, and this will export it to Excel. You could do similarly with loaners, with the loaner database as well as loans and transactions. You could do library management, where you could add a librarian, and you could delete librarians. We don't have librarians right here because when we just started implement or just install the system, you only be given a admin account. So here you would basically add a new user if you need to create that. So for example, username would be test user. Um, just fill in some. So so now let's quickly go over the Electron version, which is the desktop application version. So as mentioned, this is actually we are actually have a deployable package for both Windows, Mac OS X, as well as Linux. So now let's get started. So as you can see from the starting here, the interface is literally the same as the web version. So as you can see, I put in my credentials and then click login. As you can see here, the interface is basically the same thing. Functionalities are basically the same and that it operates the same. So that's why I'm not going to go over much about this, but basically this is an option when you want to deploy it not as a web application, but instead as a desktop application.
So as you can see from our demo, most of the functionality is actually good, and as I've mentioned before, it has already been deployed before for a particular school, and it works good and well right now. So what is the plan going forward? Well, we would hope to gain more traction and making this project scale. And with this, we hope that you can join us in our journey to make this a success. Some of the items that we're looking into developing in the near future, and we hope that we can have more people to join our cause, include, first of all, finding additional institutions that are interested in upgrading to our library platform and create user stories from them to improve our platform. Secondly, to implement a barcode scanning capability for the library system so that, for example, if the schools use some sort of a library card for their students, or that they want to scan barcodes into like the bulk ISBN or any of those numbering into the system for returning or borrowing book purposes, they can do that with barcode scanning. And third of all, since we want to target this for schools worldwide in order to benefit with this open source software, we want to actually make localization available, which means that we want to make it such that it can support multiple different language in its interface so that different schools around the world can actually utilize this and benefit from it. Of course, more of these plans and exciting features will be found on the issue section in the repositories on our GitHub. Thank you for listening to me in presenting you the BudLib Library Management System. If you want to join us in our journey, please contact us at budlibsystem@yahoo.com, as well as giving us a star in our GitHub repositories and actually branch out and develop some of the features that we have as issues that we have right now. As I said, we only have 2 people in our team and we can only do so much for this system. So if you actually want to create something that is of material that will help schools around the world to have a library that is both efficient and effective so to support our future generation, be sure to help our cause. Help us develop these features, help us spread the word, help us gain more traction by promoting this to the schools around the world who is in need. Lastly, once again, thank you very much for listening, and I hope that you will enjoy joining us and enjoy this particular library management software. Thank you, and bye for now.